In this wacky 1968 comedy, a deranged woman with multiple personality disorder kidnaps and then stalks the king of rock and roll.
All right.
Elvis Aaron Presley.
All right.
So Misery was a movie about a crazed fan who kidnaps her favorite author and keeps him imprisoned in a bedroom. This movie asked the question, what if Misery, but then what if your kidnapper was hot? You're like, I want to escape, but I also think I got a shot with this lady. The title of this movie is Live a Little, Love a Little. The title is about how old Elvis likes women to be. He's like, live a little. Don't go crazy with it. Don't live a long time and then try to talk to Elvis. Have some moderation with how long you've been alive. What are you, some kind of time pig? This is his Black Swan. This is about a man crumbling psychologically. And when we first see Elvis, he's already not okay. He's driving a dune buggy very recklessly. This is dune buggery for our British friends. Buggery means gay sex.
They're like, oh shit, is like, oh bugger.
No, yeah, that's like their oh darn. It's like, oh, gay sex. Oh, would you gay sex me right now? But then he goes to the beach. He's doing circles on the beach. There's a woman on the beach, and she sees Elvis dune bugging around. She has this big, lovable Great Dane. His name's Albert. Elvis is on a blanket on the beach. He's a photographer in this, so he's taking pictures of just the water. He says, what's your name? And she says, today I feel like Alice. So this is where we realize she has many personalities.
Uh-oh.
She says, would you like to make love to me? And he says, in front of Albert. And she's like, well, yeah, whatever.
Oh!
And she goes, well, he's nothing but a hound dog. Watching all the time. In every Elvis movie, Elvis just meets a girl and sleeps with her immediately. But she's coming on so strong, even Elvis is put off. And then she's like, well, what about this? And she kisses him, and he says, I felt nothing. And then she's like, nothing from my kiss. You won't sleep with me. Sick him, Albert. Again, Albert is adorable, but the idea is Albert chases him into the ocean. Then there's a cut, and now the sun's setting. And she's like, okay, you can get out of the ocean now. And she's like, okay, come into my house. But now she's like, well, you're going to have to take these clothes off. She leaves the bathroom. He takes his clothes off. She puts him in the dryer. He's in a robe. Then this grocery store kid comes in to deliver groceries. He's like, hey, where's Susie? The grocery store kid knows her as Susie. So now he, I guess just from being in the water for so long, she's like, well, you're burning up. Here, take this pill. She puts a pill in his mouth and then like punches him in the chest. And we see the sun go up and down, day, night, day, night. And then when he finally wakes up, she comes in the room, he wakes up. He's got stubble. He's like, what day is it? And she said, it's Thursday. And he's like, Thursday? What'd you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? It's like, what? I don't know. That's just how weeks work. So then the milkman comes in, and he's like, hey, Betty. And then he goes, Betty, Alice, what is your name? And then she says, you can call me Mrs. Baby.
No, not Mrs. Baby.
And then she says, my husband's name was Harry Baby.
No.
And he died of a liver disease. And this is when she explains, she says, I have different names for my different moods. So this guy shows up, and he's like, yeah, it's me, Harry. And he said, I thought you were dead. And she said, yeah, did she tell you I died and that we were married? She's a compulsive liar. This is played by Dick Sargent, one of the Darrens on Bewitched. Bewitched was about a man and a wife, but the wife is secretly a witch. And in the first episode, she tells him she's a witch. But then at the end, he's like, well, I want to fuck you. But also, of course, you need to do the dishes. So then she uses her magic witch powers to do the dishes, so her husband doesn't have to wait too long to have sex.
Why can't she just do the dishes and use her magic powers to fuck that guy?
Oh, while she's scrubbing the dishes with the power of magic, she's sucking them off. Yeah, why use the magic to do the boring thing? He's been asleep for 4 days. He hasn't gone to work. He's a photographer for the newspaper. He goes in there, and the guy's like, you're fired. So then he goes back to his place, and there's a little kid and a woman in his apartment. He's like, this is my apartment. What are you doing here? The landlady comes in, and she says, don't worry, everything's taken care of. Your sister came in. She got all your stuff out of here. She paid your rent. And he goes, my sister? And she says, yes, your sister, Mrs. Baby. And there's like a zoom in, and he goes, my sister, Mrs. Baby. So in the 4 days he was sleeping, this maniac found out where he lived. She went to his apartment. She claimed to be his sister. She moved him out. He comes back to confront Mrs. Baby, and he says, what do you want from me? And she's like, I understand you're upset. She goes in her room. She comes back down. She's wearing a fur coat. And she says, you can stay in the house. I'm going to go out. He says, I'll spend the night, and then I'm going to get out of here. And then he tries to take her coat off, and she's wearing nothing under the coat. When her boobs come out, it does make a boing sound. Boing. Bung, 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 bung. And he goes, that's a dirty trick.
Is the boing sound...
Boing.
Is that supposed to happen inside of his head? Or is that the sound of his boner popping up?
Well, I assume that these boobs, the tension is so great. I'm going to use the word pert.
Okay.
So pert are her bosoms. And if people need to pause for a second and jerk off right now. Now he's like, well, I got to go get a job so I can escape this woman. He gets a job. It's called Classic Cat, but it's supposed to be Playboy. Then he takes the elevator in the same building to another floor, and he goes to an ad agency. Then they hire him. So now he's got 2 full-time jobs in the same building.
Okay.
Oh, so he goes back to her place, and the dog has a note in its mouth. The note says, meet me at this address. He's like, look, I'm seeing Mrs. Baby, dog. We can't have our own separate affair. He's got one girlfriend who's 5 people, and he's got 2 jobs at once. I mean, this is enough to make you fat. And then she comes out of the house, and then she says, hello, darling, welcome home. And she said, I got you a place, which I guess, in theory, she, for no reason, ruined his last place. So now Elvis is at a pool party hosted by the Hugh Hefner-like figure of Classic Cat magazine.
Nice.
And then there's this weird box, and he's like, what's that? And he said, that doesn't do anything, but it's a conversation piece. Mrs. Baby, her name is Bernice.
Oh.
I think that's the personality she uses the most. She's at the pool party. And he's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I followed you. So then Elvis just ignores her, and he sees a pretty woman over by the pool, and he just walks up to her. And she says, what month were you born? She starts talking about the Zodiac. She's like, well, if you're a Sagittarius, we're not suited. And he's like, oh, shut up about the Zodiac, baby. And he just kisses her. And then he goes, let's go. But then she says, but I mean, I would go with you, but it's just the Zodiac thing. And then he goes and gets the box with the lights and stuff on it. And he brings it, and she's like, ooh, what's that? He's like, this is a computer that tells women to shut up. And he goes, boop, boop. And she's like, but I don't understand. He's like, you just got to be able to understand what it's saying. And he goes into the song, a little less conversation, a little more action. A little less conversation, a little more action. This is a song about telling a woman to stop talking while the computer that tells women to shut up is going. A little more bite, a little less bark, a little less fight, a little more spark. Close your eyes, close your mouth, and satisfy me.
God damn!
Your life story I don't need to know. All I want is fellatio. So he's trying to sleep with everyone but Bernice because he thinks she's crazy. She keeps stalking him until finally Elvis has had enough. He just grabs her, pulls her in the bedroom. They have sex. He wakes up. She's gone. On the mirror, she's written, I guess in lipstick. Bernice is very confused.
Oh, no.
Don't look for her. Thank you, darling, for making me a woman.
Oh.
That's what was wrong with her this whole time. She was a virgin. She was acting all squirrely because she just hadn't had enough penis. This isn't the movie saying that women go crazy if you don't fuck them enough, but it is saying that mental illness can be cured by Elvis's penis. He runs down the beach. He sees Bernice on the beach. And he says, why'd you leave? And she said, I've just been sitting here thinking. And he says, thinking about what? And she says, love. I think I love you. And then he says, I think I love you. And then they kiss. This could be a happy ending. I think secretly this was just another trick from the fiendish Mrs. Baby. He should have been like, oh, so you're cured now because you just needed to have sex because you were a virgin. But if you think about it, just Bernice was a virgin. So she should have been like, no. You took Bernice's virginity. The other 4 women on me are total sluts. In fact, Susie has something called super herpes. So don't sleep with me when she's running the body. And he'd be like, I don't think that's how that works. He's like, well, I guess this is the king telling everybody you should always disclose your health information before making love with a new partner. I guess in this situation, we could have used a little more conversation. The past was doing its best.
That's the theme song.
Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. They were doing their best.